Hello and welcome back to another daily cribbage. Let's see who we get today. Patrick. Alright, so say hello to Patrick. And we get to be the dealer first, which is great. And we look down at a double run with 2 5s in it. So we could keep the 2 5s with the 10 or just keep the double run, which I think is what we're going to do today. And we hit the 4, which is one of the great reasons for keeping the double run. So we'll go 7. Our opponent doesn't have too many 5s. They do have a 7 though. So what does that mean? Maybe they've got some 8s, 8, 9 kind of things. No, just a flush with 4 points. Nothing crazy. The 4 on top is really helpful for us, and it even gives us a really nice crib. So we're off to a fantastic start, hitting our first milestone. And what do we have next? Well, this looks like a simple 10 king. We get to keep all our low cards. Low cards are really nice because they get to combo more to 15. So we'll come up to the 8. If our opponent has an ace, then we'll double it. If they pair our 8, then probably... what will we do there? We'd expect our opponent to have some 4s and so on. So 7, okay, we'll pair that. Expect our opponent to have some 5s, maybe some more 3. Well, they don't have a 3 because they could have played it at the end there. Seems like maybe our opponent is away. Nope, they're back. So 3, 5, 6, 8, 3, 5, 6, 7. A nice run and a big double run in the crib. They filled in our 10 king. This one is... so these hands I like to call them magnetic hands, because no matter what else is really going in your hand of 6 cards, you're gonna stick these cards together, sort of like a magnet. All these cards attract each other and form this combo. I don't want to play the 8, and I'd prefer not to play the 6 because opponent gets to play their 5s on top here. Now I get to go 6, and I will double this 8. I expect some 9s, but no, they had a 5, so it's a random 8. But yes, so magnetic hands tend to be the groups of 6 cards that you have most often. They're the hands that form the large part of your range, and no matter what you're really doing, you can almost sort of build your strategy around magnetic hands. The most important magnetic hand is 5 with a run of 3 10 count cards. That's probably the most common hand, or the most common hands in cribbage. Okay, so how are we doing at the moment? We're at 52, opponents at 56. We're expecting to get to our milestone, but this is now a little bit of a challenge. I think we're just going to go 7-10 here. We hit a 6, which is really nice. And we'll see where our opponent wants to take this. Start with a 2. I think I want to just play up to 12, and we're going to pair. Okay. I think I'm just going to go 3. If our opponent goes 4, then we can go 5. And our opponent's probably got some more 2s and 5s. Yeah, there we go. We don't really want to give away the 555 on the play there. That would have given our opponent a good chance to get to 70 that turn. And what have we got here? Well, there is a flush, but we'd have to throw away a 5. I think I just want to throw away 3, 8, keep these 4 points, which do sometimes improve quite a lot. Okay, and what do I want to do? I think I want to just give away, probably it's going to end up being 4 points, so we give away 2 points there, and I suspect their opponent has some 5s here. Okay, so we don't actually give away too many points overall. So the point is, if I had gone 9 there, then our opponent fills in the gap, and then we have to lead a 5. So I avoid leading the 5. I think this is just 3 king, keep ourselves 10 points, which also has the ability to form runs. We can go with the 10. Opponent has a few more jacks, and we'll make it up to 20. Okay. Expect our opponent has, I'm not sure, a 10? Oh, a 6, okay. Ace 4, 6, 9. That's a sign that our opponent didn't have a very good hand to discard from. And there you go, they got to throw away 7 queen, so really nice. And this, okay, and now this is a nice sort of instructive point, which is that, you know, the best average is 5 jack, but we don't have to do that. We just throw away 2 jack, keep ourselves 4 points. We give ourselves a really nice hand that improves in many ways, but also we get to throw away something that's very safe into the crib. You could imagine many disasters where opponent throws away lots of 10s into the crib, and suddenly their crib might be worth even 8 points, 9 points, and we didn't really need to allow that. What actually happened there, our opponent didn't have such a good discard, so it would have been more points to discard 5 jack, but we don't need to take that risk. Okay, and here I'm going to go 17, so there's some options for going to different, yeah, okay, and we get the pair of 8s. I guess the opponent didn't expect that, but, oh, and our opponent probably says maybe they're about to give up. Yep. Okay. So overall, we got an extra point on the play. Our opponent really struggled in hand. Let's jump back a moment to the last play. So this is the kind of position that I sometimes struggle with. So opponent leads a 10 here, but we could imagine in general our opponent leads some other 10 as well. And maybe we're wondering whether we want to play the 7 or the 8 on top of this, or we could even play the 2. The idea with the 2 would be that if our opponent plays a 3, then we get to play the ace and get 3 points for the run. And so that's a slightly favorable exchange for us. But by playing a 7 or an 8 here, we're trying to be a little bit safer. Of course, in this particular case, playing the 8 is dangerous because it opens us up to our opponent playing a 9. However, our opponent actually doesn't have too many 9s, because when you lead a 10, it's probably a concession that you didn't have a 9 to lead. Or maybe you're trying to undouble one of your 10s, or you actually don't mind if you play a 10, you don't mind your opponent playing a 5 on top of it. Maybe they've got 2 5s of their own that they're backing this 10 up with. Anyway, in general, if our opponent plays some other 10, maybe a jack or a queen or a king, then we might ask whether we want to play the 8 on top or the 7 on top, which one is a bit safer here. And really we're going for safety because we're so far ahead. We've got a few points in hand. Well, we've got 4 points in hand. We've got 2 points guaranteed in the crib that's likely to improve in a big way. So the thing that we're trying to do here is play very safely, avoid our opponent getting a big score, especially if we start something crazy on the play. And also at the same time, if we have the opportunity to get points, we shouldn't say no to that. So we look down and we see, well, we've got a 3 card 11, which is possible to play out. So 3 card 11 is the ace 2 and the 8. So that might sort of make us lean towards playing, well, we could play the 2 first, and then if our opponent plays 10, then we can play 8, taking us to 28, and then we get 1 for 30, an extra 1 for 31. But I don't really know about that. I think that what I would rather do is play the 7, and the 7 is a bit more defensive because it means the opponent can't make the total. They can't really play a 5 in that case without running a lot of risks. So if we go 7 to make 17, our opponent plays 5, then they've opened themselves up to getting a run of 3 if we have a 6. And in that case, the run of 6 would take us up to 28, so our opponent wouldn't have any follow-up plays to extend the run even longer. So that would be a thing that you'd probably be quite worried about in that case. If you had a hand which was, if our opponent has a hand something like 10, 10, 5, 5, then they probably have to do that. It would be sort of really bad to leave yourself with 2 5s just because there's so many traps that you could fall into, and in some of the worst cases you're giving up 6 or 7 points on the next go around in some cases. So you want to cut your losses in those cases and have to suck it up and play the 5 on the 7, and if your opponent has a 6, then that's okay. You didn't give up that many points the next time you went around. So what should we do here? Well, I tried to, so the other thing to note is that we can still interact with our opponent. Let's say our opponent's hand has lots more 10s in it. Let's say it's 5 with 3 10s. If we play our 7 here and our opponent makes it 27 with another 10, then we can play out our ace and 2, just as it happened in the game. But then maybe our opponent doesn't have a 5. Maybe they've made the 5 using other cards. In this case, we're most scared about our opponent making a 5 with an ace and a 4 because there's a 4 on top of the deck. So if we have such a case, then when our opponent makes it 27, so we play 7, our opponent wouldn't want to play a 4 on top because maybe they don't want to make the total 21 and allow us to get our 2 for 31 if we have a 10. So maybe they would play a 10, leaving themselves with an ace and a 4. And then we have a really good option, which is to play the 2 first, and our opponent would then have to be forced to play their ace, and we could pair the ace going to 31, giving us 2 points for the pair and 2 points for 31. And that's sort of what I had in the back of my mind. And as I was playing out, I was hoping for our opponent to have ace 4, double 10 for 12 points, but that didn't materialize in this case. So I think that's one of the things to look out for, is when you're trying to think what kind of hands your opponent can have. The ones that you want to prioritize drawing out points from are ones that are getting usually the highest score, and that can depend on the cut card as well. So in this case, the 4 that's cut indicates that we're most worried about hands that combo with that 4. Other hands that combo with that 4 would be things like 10 with 4, 5, 6. Opponent might have a few of those, but it's a bit rarer because I think if you had 10, 4, 5, 6, you probably lead some of the other cards more often. Maybe you lead a 6 or a 4 with higher frequency. But yeah, especially when there's a 4 cut, because you know that there are fewer 4s out there. But in this case, yeah. So it's very hard to construct the ranges, and in this particular case as well, our opponents probably keeping a very strange kind of range because they're starting to hope for things. Opponents really far behind. That means that in some cases, opponents not going to be discarding using expected average. They're going to be discarding using hopes and dreams, right? Hopes and dreams means you can basically pick what's going to be cut because every other case the score isn't high enough for you to catch up. And so remember that positionally our opponent is well behind the milestone that we've already passed. So they need to score really huge, and the 10 and the 4 on top, the only way that they've scored huge is really if they've comboed with maybe aces, 4s and 10s, something like this. But in that case as well, maybe we would also not expect our opponent to lead a 10. Maybe this 10 that's being led is actually an extremely good sign. And we're not really going to run into many hands now that are going to worry us too much. So maybe this is coming back round and saying, well, actually our position is a lot better than what I thought it could be. I was worried about our opponent having 12 points and I wanted to play against ace-4 in the back, but maybe they don't have that. And maybe it's okay to just play the 2 here and get some points out of maybe hands that have got maybe 2, 3, 4 left. And in that case, maybe our opponent would either play a 3 for 15 and we get the ace, but then we were sort of inviting trouble. So that's probably not a good idea if we expect our opponent to have 2, 3, 4 left. Instead, no, maybe the 7. In that case, the 7 would be pretty safe because on a lot of cards our opponent plays, we can play the 8, and then our ace-2 does very well at the end to finish off getting to 31. So a lot of ideas here, and it sort of shows how much can really be going on under the surface. In this case, we're so far ahead that a lot of these considerations actually don't come into effect, but they could really be there in much closer case. And then the playing order right here. Do we play 7, 2, or in other cases an 8 really comes into effect. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that one, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.